deal. Derek Carr is going to sign a 4-year contract with the Saints. He tweeted out "Who Dat Nation," and it's essentially a situation where New Orleans prioritized Derek Carr. After the Raiders released him and allowed him to go visit, that was the one place that he spent a couple of days going to visit. He's played before with the Saints head coach Dennis Allen, who was part of the Oakland Raiders organization when they drafted Derek Carr out of college. Now, those two men will be reunited again. He had interest from the Carolina Panthers. He had interest from the Jets, but clearly he wanted to go to New Orleans to play in an NFC South division right now that's lacking in quality starting quarterbacks, that essentially is in a position where the Saints can win that division, and the Saints had a good enough offer on the table. It's a 4-year deal, but it's really going to be about a 2-year, $60 million contract. He can make more in the third year of the deal. The fourth year of the deal is backloaded, so it really amounts to a 2 or 3-year deal for Derek Carr, but he goes to New Orleans, and that is essentially the first big quarterback domino of the many to come here in the coming days, with the new league year scheduled to begin a week from Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Schefter, great stuff. And as you can imagine, the deal is palatable for their salary cap, although the Saints never worry about finding space under the cap. During Derek Carr's tenure with the Raiders, how about this? The Silver and Black's defense allowed 26.1 points per game. That's the most for any starting quarterback to play at least 50 games with a single team in the Super Bowl era. He's now to join a Saints team that's had a top 10 defense in terms of points allowed in each of the past 3 seasons. Carr has ever played with a top 15 defense in terms of points allowed in his career. Let's go to our quarterback, Dan. What do you think about this fit for Derek Carr?
It's really good for both parties, not only Derek Carr, but the Saints. You know, if we think about the Saints offense and what they ask of the quarterback, and 2 things that I think Derek does really well. One, get the ball out pretty quickly. He's really good with the quick game, making sure balls getting spit out to the sidelines, catchable throws, and then pushing the ball downfield. I've always thought one of the more underrated deep ball throwers in the NFL, and I think it's going to work really well with Pete Carmichael, who's been the offensive coordinator in New Orleans for like 14 years now. And that's one of the reasons why I understood the schematic fit. I also think Derek's really good under center, and the Saints do it a lot. If you look at the way he performs when you put him under center and live in that play-action world, he's very good at it. The Saints like it as a big part of their offense because that offensive line still could be a top 10 unit. My question is, what is the roster going to look like after this contract comes into play? Because they've been over the cap, and this is only going to impact it in some fashion.
But, like, you know what? They have a lot of nice young pieces on the offensive side of the ball that are really going to directly benefit from Derek Carr's veteran presence, his leadership, his consistency, quite honestly, in terms of being a guy who's going to hold himself accountable to other teammates. And that's exactly what young guys like Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, the wide receivers, Adam Troutman at tight end, Juwan Johnson at tight end. These are guys who I've all seen play multiple times live, and they are fantastic, fantastic athletes with great character who want to win football games. And Derek, look, Dan, as you mentioned, as being one of the better deep ball throwers, I think Pete Carmichael, via the Sean Payton tree, is one of the better schemers of being able to dial up those play-action shots that are able to push the ball down the field. And look, anybody who hasn't seen Rashid Shaheed play, this kid can absolutely fly. And I mean fly. And Chris Olave is one of the best route runners of all the young generation of wide receivers coming up. So he has a lot to work with, man. A ton to work with down here in New Orleans.
Yeah, we'll see what the future holds for Michael Thomas, but there are plenty of other pieces in place. Coach, what does this mean for the Saints, though, right now in the NFC South?
A golfing term, they are first in the clubhouse right now.
They posted a score?
Yeah, in the NFC South. And when you think about what he brings to the table, not only his ability to throw the ball, as you talked about, play action, offense fits his skill set, but what he's going to do for the locker room. And we're losing sight of that. When you think about bringing in a quarterback, a veteran quarterback, how is he going to handle the locker room? His personality, A+. He'll get along with these players. Coach drafted him with the Raiders, so he understands the mindset of the guy he's bringing in the door. There's no guesswork here.
Yeah.
I know Derek Carr. I know as much about Derek Carr as anybody because I drafted him as the Raider coach. So this is a good fit for Derek Carr and the Saints.
And, of course, Jameis Winston likely on the outs as a result of this move.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.